everything that we do we don't think about the bottle of wine being shipped from Italy and how much carbon went into the atmosphere when the ship was burning diesel to bring it over. But everything we do has some sort of impact somewhere else.
So these lights on right now are emitting carbon somewhere into the atmosphere and
I
warming
have
the
the
planet
right
up.
bulbs in them.
Yeah, we had the hippie bulbs.
Even those ones. The way that we get energy now, anything that you do makes the planet hotter. So we just don't have that recognition yet.
So what I really want to know, and I don't know if this is moving beyond the point of discussion that we should, but what I really want to know
There's
is,
no point.
it's not like it's a circle here. Can we invent something that's going to take carbon out of the atmosphere?
Yes, we have, in theory, we have that already.
Is it called a tree?
It is called a tree. It would be great if we could do that. Trees are obviously the best way to sink carbon that we know of right now. It's very efficient and useful, and it's pretty when it's all full grown.
I dig trees.
Especially with fruit.
What I think you might be getting at is geoengineering.
I don't know what I'm getting at.
Okay.
I'm
So
imagining it looking like a vacuum cleaner of sorts.
the people that really freak out about this
Spaceballs.
stuff talk about how we're going to get the carbon out because we're going to come right up, even if today we get our shit together and we start reducing carbon, this is basically going to be like us driving up to the edge of the cliff and slamming on the brakes. Like, it's going to be close, no matter what.
Hold hands? Like
I think we should. I'm
better be locked
going to
arms.
jump into your lap.
I like it.
Well, plus, and in addition to that, like, even if we stop producing carbon today, we've still put enough in the atmosphere to keep the effects
Yes,
going.
unfortunately, carbon doesn't
So
just
this
leave
this is a
overnight.
necessary part of the equation, is figuring out how to remove carbon.
It's debatable, but the problem is you don't want to focus on it right away because people.
But I'm
still
asking for
living
your,
our
I'm
lives
asking
the
for your
same way,
insider
yeah.
point of view on what we're doing.
The first rule
Doesn't
when you're in a
change the
hole is stop
culture.
digging.
Right.
So
I know the
I don't go out of my way to talk about this stuff to begin with, but I'm happy to discuss it here. Go
I
ahead.
would really like to know.
There are ways to do it.
Okay.
There are ways
I would
to do
really
it
like
too.
to know that that's part of like what's being done behind the scenes, though.
It's not. It's honestly it's a distraction at this point
Uh-huh.
because you need to stop making it worse before you can make it better.
But if we're already
But we
we
work
can
in,
do them in tandem, but
we work
until we
in-
get a plan to actually
we work in
reduce
a
carbon
market
emissions,
economy, and
We
all
do.
of the good things that happen because of private funding and private funding's desire for that to happen.
Further funding.
There has to be a market for this
markets
type
are a
of
great
project.
way to do this kind of stuff.
And Obama's attempted to try and do that.
I'm not even necessarily talking about government, but I think that
Yeah.
has to be. But
Yeah.
It just
you're
didn't work.
telling me that
Well,
behind the scenes, like in a place
would
that
work.
nobody really recognizes
Yeah,
or
you
knows about, there
Take the
isn't
people
somebody
get off
working
the
on
bus.
a carbon sucking vacuum?
Look, I'll scare you first
Again,
to
Spaceballs
back you off of
Should I
this.
hold my guy?
Yes.
Alright.
So what you're talking about is geoengineering, and there are different ways to go about that. But basically, what that means is you're mucking about with the climate directly. So we know about like seeding clouds, for example. You put some dry ice up there and it rains. That's a pretty small scale thing. But if you're talking about
It didn't work for the Olympics.
yes, that's true. Is it true? I don't know.
It
But
still
if you're
sucked
talking
at the
about
Olympics,
if
that's
you're
what I'm
talking
saying.
about taking like thousands of gigatons of carbon out of the atmosphere, you need something really big
Significant.
and dramatic. And the stuff that you do, I mean, like I said before, it's a Swiss timepiece, and we're throwing wrenches in now. And we do not have the understanding we need to go throwing beneficial wrenches in there thinking it's going on. So what I was going to say is a guy kind of on his own got in a boat up near Nova Scotia, I think it was, and started dropping tons and tons of iron filament into the ocean. And the idea is the iron
All of a
filament,
sudden I wish Bart were here.
and the iron filament would basically feed all this phytoplankton in the ocean, causing it to bloom up, and it would bloom up so much and start eating all the carbon out of the atmosphere. This is one of the ways that people theorize, anyway, that you could pull carbon out of the atmosphere and save us all from the brink of destruction. Unfortunately, you don't know what the effects are going to be.
Right.
These things cascade.
Everything's
Chaos
down to the
theory,
bottom,
butterfly,
everything's connected
hurricane
to
stuff
everything
is
else.
real.
Yeah.
And you could just as easily fuck us by trying to make it better as you could by not doing anything. So,
But,
right now,
but
we
the
don't-
fact of the matter is that Einstein was a refugee to the United States at the beginning of World War II.
Yeah.
The Manhattan Project continued, and 20 years later, we had an H-bomb that nobody even imagined was a possibility.
Tell me why, though. How do we get there?
There was-
Because they put money behind it,
there was
money,
no-
money,
but
money,
there was
money,
no
money.
counter economic
They
interest.
put a goal. They said we're gonna have one of these.
That's why
And
I
they
bring
said-
that up though, like what you,
Yeah,
you,
me, you.
and me probably more than anybody else, because they have to feed us,
Yeah,
should be working on is exactly like you said at the beginning, which is creating the political environment
definitely.
that this is the spending priority.
Once you realize you're at war,
You don't like
all options are on
it
the
is
table.